This is Banging on the Drum. It is another beautiful day in West Central Wisconsin, and even more beautiful than it has been in the recent times here.
For sure.
Welcome to episode 129 of Banging on the Drum. Please remember to like, subscribe, download, share if you would. As always, I'm your host P-Dog, joined alongside our other host M-Dog. And M-Dog, how you feeling about the Packers after this weekend?
I feel good, right, about the Packers because you get a win. Your defense is really good. I don't know that I probably feel like only slightly better than I did last week, though. Like last week, I still felt pretty positive about the way the team was headed.
Yeah, no, and me as well. Like I've accepted this
You,
season like is going to be like a building thing, but like after last week, I was like, this isn't even that bad. Like I think there's just such like young mistakes still being made, and I know people are out there already being like, well, it's just like 8 weeks into the season, but even like
yeah,
Wicks's fumble today, like it doesn't seem like something like a veteran receiver does. I mean, it's raining, like whatever, like it's
yeah,
gonna happen, but I was like, these guys are gonna fix these mistakes in the future, and that made me feel good.
yeah. So I actually thought that Wicks thing, like 99% of the time, that is a ball bounce that goes out of bounds
Yeah,
right at that point, and so that's a bad ball bounce. And it does seem like bad teams, probably the Packers, the way they're playing right now, get more bad ball bounces than they do good ball bounces, right? Or maybe it's the things you focus on,
yeah.
right?
I think it's that thing the Jack Nicholson said is like the more you practice and the luckier you get type
Yeah.
deal.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe even just like this is out there, but if you're like more of a veteran, you like feel that happening, you kind of maybe give it an extra tap or something to like make it
Yeah.
go or something. But whatever,
Right.
it could happen to anybody as well.
Or because you have so many good plays in a game, that one doesn't mean nearly as much to you, right? It's like, oh, okay, like if Devontae Adams has that play at some point in like his Packers career, at the end of his Packers career, we're all just like, okay, like it is kind of what it is. But when there's a comedy of errors,
Yeah.
right, then you start pointing out errors. That goes in the error category.
Yeah. And then I mean Jones fumbled too. And so even our
Twice,
yeah,
two times.
even our vet was doing it.
Yep.
But wet and sloppy out there. But let's get to the betting stuff first. So just a quick recap of how the week went. So Mike is on an absolute heater after I gave him shit, and you are 5-0 this week. You hit your pounded game, so you got that plus 300. So anyways, you're plus 700 on the week. Which I think in total, I didn't write it down yet, but you would be something like negative 1,500. So you would be going from negative 22 last week to 1,500 with a shot at a perfect week. And I was kicking around an idea of if you get a perfect week, maybe there'd be some kind of bonus. I know you were like, we always change the rules late, but I think there really should be something. There should be something for a perfect week. Like nothing, neither of us have hit the perfect week. So
yeah, I don't think
maybe
well, so obviously the way we used to do it, there's almost no chance to hit a perfect week.
Yeah, definitely. It would have to be this year if anybody hit. If you hit a perfect week last season, you should have legitimately been gambling.
Right.
But yeah, so Mike's still perfect. So you still have a shot to what is a perfect week for us? So it is 1,000 flat. So if the Bengals or the Bills
end up
winning,
900.
If the Bills end up winning for you, you get a plus 200. And then if I forget who you had, the Chargers or Jets.
I have the Chargers.
So if the Chargers then cover, yeah, you would be plus 1,000. But anyways, you're whooping my ass this week. I'm going to concede defeat. I'm 3-3, but I hit my pounded game, so I'm plus 200 right now. So the best I could do is if you lose both your games, I could push with you, but you would still have the better record on the week. So I got one big game left. But anyways, here it is. Got it already prepped. Sorry, that might be a cheap thing that I do, but now that I'm using my wife's computer, it scares me to pop them open right in front of it and then get that. I will say, to give myself credit, it was one of my smoothest openings of a sun drop shotgun.
I've been much better as of late to pop them open now that I stopped using like a square fucking key.
Yeah, just having to punch it in. I used it right for this one, and I went in gentle and like twisted. I don't know. I think I got a new, better, safer method. It's definitely not as cool like as a party trick as just hitting it and then going for it. But
I do think that was John's go-to. It was a knife as well.
Yeah, I think he was trying not to mess up his whole house as well. So that's where I'm opening mine in the sink now. But all right, here I go.
All right, it's up. It's going to town with it. All right, so I do want to throw out there that I think that I told Pat that we couldn't take the Packers like kind of at all during the. Geez, that was very quick. Very quick. I think crushed it. Yep. That we couldn't take the Packers, but I've decided against that. And I actually think we should take them as either our double dog or as our pounded game of the week every week now, because we have to keep the faith high. I think in general, our faith is very high when it comes to the Packers. However, like I think when I said that we couldn't put them in our betting stuff and try to win money on them, that just let the Packers down. And so
yeah, we definitely looked like we lost faith in them. But let's get to this game. So Packers end up winning this game 20-3 and just kind of dominate this thing from front to back. But we're going to go through the scoring drives real quick. Anyway, Packers recover a fumble. I'm trying to remember this one. Oh, this is when Owens punched out who he was playing because why was Owens playing again? Who was out? Can't remember that off the top of my head. But anyways,
Owens. So not Savage. Savage isn't out, right?
Yeah, it was. I think that was it. So Owens in place of him, whatever, punches out a fumble. Packers get the ball at the Rams 41, and then this is the drive they capitalize on. A lot of Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, and then Aaron Jones, caps the drive off with a touchdown. 3-yard touchdown run, puts the Packers up 7-0. And then we got a whole lot of nothing for a while. Pretty defensive driven. Lots of rain on the field. It did look like neither offense could really get it going. The Packers defense did not look like they were going to let shit happen, which is something I kind of want to touch on, is because I feel like Quay has been like the guy, but it definitely, once Quay's out and it was just Devontae Campbell doing it,
Yep.
the buck might stop at Devontae Campbell.
Yeah. So I think Campbell's veteran leadership for the defense matters a lot, right? And so it's probably going to matter even more now that Douglas is gone. Douglas is a pretty good leader, I thought, too. So
yeah, but yeah, so then we get back into it. Lots of punts. Rams end up getting a field goal. We go into halftime after we miss a field goal in the rain. I want to say
50 plus yards. I think it was like 52 or something like that.
I think it was 48, but whatever, 52-48. However you want to put it. But then we started out the second half. I want to say Nixon took back a kick real far. Looked like Nixon of last year and early this year. Caught it pretty deep. Looked good, took it out, and then start off the drive. First play, Devontae Wicks gets the ball. 11-yard play, kind of reaches out for some extra yards, hits the ground and ends up fumbling. Ball bounces right into the Rams' arms, Witherspoon, and Rams get the ball. So what looked like it was going to be a promising start to the second half turned out to not be that great. But Packers defense stepped up like they did all game long, forced the Rams to punt. Packers get the ball back again, and then Aaron Jones fumbles this one away. And the Rams have an opportunity to score on that one, miss a field goal, put the Packers in pretty good field position. We go down, get a field goal at that point. It is 10-3. Lots more punts, turnovers on downs, things of that nature. We end up getting another field goal to put us up 13-3. And then the last
one was off an interception too.
Yeah, big interception. Alexander tips the ball in the air, and then I'm trying to think who caught that one.
I want to say Anderson. It's not Anderson though.
Johnson.
Yep. I knew it was like a pretty common
Yeah, Johnson comes up with the interception, which seemed like it was a day for Alexander out there. He had some big tackle stuff, made that play happen.
Very good day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he would have caught a couple more balls that he got his hands on, he would have really had an insane day.
Yeah. Another punt. And then the Packers go down, had their probably best drive of the day, 8-play, 72-yard drive, capped off with finally getting a touchdown to Musgrave, puts the Packers up 20-3. And that game's basically over. At that point, I flipped it over to red zone because I wanted to track some of my bets I had going. But I don't know if you got anything for the last 3 minutes of that game. But anyways, an all-around pretty damn good game from the Packers. I thought the play calling was like pretty clever for the most part. That touchdown to Musgrave was pretty sick. It was like a double fake to the sides and then end up hitting it up the middle.
Yeah, so I know everybody's kind of losing their shit about that one and going 6 to midnight on the play call there, but I wonder if it's not supposed to be a screen and that screen is covered up, right? They play it well.
Yeah.
They see what's coming, and then he has no choice but to look into the middle of the field, and Musgrave's kind of running that route he's supposed to run and is wide open.
But either way,
I get that, but so the play call looked cool as fuck, right? But I don't know if that's what I think they were supposed to throw it to Jones there.
You think fake one way and then
I think it was like a fake reverse, and then you're going to run the screen the other way, right? Try to get them moving in towards the reverse. So you shouldn't be at the very least you shouldn't be in the flats out there where Jones is at, right? And so you're going to throw that screen out there and then run it up the sideline. And I think the Rams just covered it well, and he had to look into the center of the field, and there was Musgrave sitting wide open, and so you chuck it to him, and Musgrave makes a good move. I mean, it worked, right? That part is probably in there. Like if this ends up being covered, it shouldn't be covered, but if it is covered, like we're going back over the middle, and so it worked really, really well. I just think that everybody was like, "That's exactly what was supposed to happen." I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. Like honestly, I don't know. It looked very cool.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either, but whatever it is, I mean, if that's your third read on that play, if it was legitimately, I definitely think one of the things was like a fake or like misdirection type thing. But yeah, like doing the double misdirection and then up the middle, wide open touchdown, whatever. I'll take an easy touchdown like that because it seems like the Packers, if they've been getting touchdowns or touchdown drives, they've been scratching and clawing for everything that they've been getting this year. But yeah, if we just get into some of the numbers in this game, so we always clamor for Jones to get the ball a little bit more. Sure as shit got the ball a little bit more. I think it helped that it was raining and we weren't going to air it out quite as much. But even that being said, Love was 20 of 26 for 228 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, Love had a damn solid game. Jones, 20 carries, 73 yards. Want to throw his receiving stats, and then he had 4 catches for 26 yards. Just a good all-around day. I thought Dillon looked good for the most part. He definitely did have a play he got stuffed on 3rd or 4th and 1, but it must have been 3rd and 1.
It's getting cooler and later in the year, and I think Dillon does get better as the year kind of goes on. I would kind of like to see Emmanuel Wilson get a few more touches. Not that he's always going to have like this 30-yard run out at the end of the game or whatever. But I think on third down, like he could be your guy that you run that draw to, because it seems like he's very explosive and very fast and kind of catches the defenses, on their heels a little bit. That, oh, they're not going to hand it off to this guy here.
Yeah, he had a nice run. We got Reed the ball on some sort of end around where he had a nice run as well. But yeah, everything seemed to be working. I think so. Mike and I are the kids that are doing our homework on the fly right now, but I think we can get into like strengths. And I think play calling was definitely a strength in this game. It seemed like we were clever. I know Mike said last show, like, you got nothing to lose. Like, you might as well start trying to have some fun. And it looked like they tried to have some fun and go out there and call some plays.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, so even if that, like, I think it was like a reverse, and then you're headed towards, and then Jones goes the other way with even if that's just the play and you don't have the guy coming across the middle and it's a double fake and it's just a single fake, like it's a pretty ballsy fake, I think, to like throw out there. And like if it is actually a double fake, then they really are having fun and they're really putting some shit together that I enjoy. And hopefully they just continue to do that.
Yeah, and you need a lot of time to do that. And then when you're playing against Aaron Donald, granted, I'm assuming he was in on that play.
I couldn't tell you.
But yeah, you're definitely going to have some confidence in your offensive line on that one. And just patience for that play to set up. But it seemed like even other ways, I don't know, the rain definitely seemed to play in our favor, I would say. It doesn't hurt. We were playing against a second string quarterback that really did not look like he's going to make it too long in the league right now.
Well, and so I think that they're on a backup running back as well. I don't think Henderson is like traditionally their starter.
Yeah, because
so they started the season with Akers and Kyren Williams maybe, and so Henderson, wasn't the plan to be the dude at running back either.
Yeah, but the Rams' weapons, granted, when they don't have Stafford on the field, definitely tone it down a little bit. But like Kupp is definitely a top 10 receiver. Puka Nacua is one of the best rookie receivers in the league right now. And the Packers did a very good job of holding those guys to not very much, with Cooper Kupp getting 2 catches for 48 yards, Puka Nacua getting 3 catches for 32 yards. But yeah, then another strength is going to be our defense. Our defense just looked nasty. And it did look like we did something on third downs a little bit differently, like where we weren't just giving them slack to catch something underneath on them. Like we brought some heat. It looks like, God, it's hard to get like overly optimistic, even though I am.
Oh yeah.
But like then you look back and you're like, yeah, we're playing the Rams, and not only the Rams, but like you said, not only it's not their starting quarterback, not their starting running back, so they're quite a few pieces down.
Yeah, and they've been down a piece or two all year. So Kupp was out the whole first part of the year. So, but like they did not allow the Rams to run really at all on them. Their run defense against the Rams was very, very good. And I don't know if the Rams' offensive line is dinged up. Could, based on what I saw today out of the Packers, like could easily be dinged up. And that them doing anything productive is good. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah,
I just think that the Packers' defensive line and really young guys on defense,
Carl Brooks
stepped up and played. His name was just
awful lot.
Yeah, his name was popping out a lot. Carrington Ballington like had a real opportunity to pick one, and I think he just came like directly on top of the receiver instead of like in front of the ball, and he had to like jump around him to make the pass breakup. But it seemed like he had a good game. That Johnson is a rookie who got the pick, so he was
and he's like a
the right time.
6th round pick. Kind of, I remember the draft after watching him get picked because I'm pretty sure he's out of Iowa State. And
that's Valentine.
Oh, that's Valentine. That's not Ohio.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But I thought that guy was going to be good after that. But if we get into some of the team stats, like this isn't very usual for the Packers. So Packers just dominate the time possession, 35 minutes to 25 minutes. Packers had 21 first downs to the Rams 10 first downs. So they were just basically doing everything right. One thing, I mean, we've already spoke to the crappy fumbles and the crappy weather conditions, but we did even it out. We'd end up getting an interception and a fumble recovery as well. But yeah, as a whole, I would say fun play calling, defense were great strengths in this game. And then I think you could say like our kick return game was pretty good again, special teams wise.
Yeah, so even like I would say our return game in general, because Reed had a pretty good one as well on like a 65-yard boot. Like he almost like stopped and was like determining whether he was going to return it. Do you remember that return?
Yeah.
Like, he kind of paused, and it was just one of those things. I was like, what are you doing? Right. Because it almost looked like he took a fair catch when nobody was within like 30 yards of him. And then he takes off. He has a pretty good return there. Nixon had that good return. So I think that's going to be turning into a bit of a plus.
Yeah. And I think with Reed's, like you said, it was a huge punt. Like, I don't think he expected to like catch it, like going back the way that he did. And I think once he did, it looked like he was like looking like, I mean, the out kicked his coverage big time where he's like, okay, I got time to think whether I go left or right. And that's a pretty cool thing to see like a rookie do, like not just like catch the ball and like, I'm going to like speed up as fast as I could, but like, where's my best course of action on this return is how I felt. That's what he was doing when he was pausing there for a second. But yeah, it was weird. Like he paused for a good amount of time. Like it was probably like 3-4 seconds.
Yeah. And so like, I think overall the game just went smooth, and really, I think a lot of our young players stepped up. I mean, so offensively, you can say Musgrave definitely stepped up, right? Like you get that touchdown. He caught a couple of big passes too. at least one other one.
Yeah, I could look at his stat line.
Dontavian Wicks almost looks like the best wide receiver on the team, like week in and week out. Seems like he's catching the most passes, being open on routes. So he did have a few like drops last week. It feels like, but it feels like that's where the trust is most with Jordan Love, is him between him and Wicks. And then and then Jaden Reed is right there too, right? Like, so he catches a lot of balls every week, does more than I expect every week for our like slot guy to do. And so I think the wide receivers from this class and maybe the pass catchers from this class are really stepping up right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you look at the rookies we had contributing, so Musgraves 3 catches, Wicks 4 catches, Dobbs 3 catches. Oh, I guess Dobbs isn't a rookie, but Reed 3 catches. So what is that? 10 catches. Take the Dobbs ones out. So yeah, 10 catches. Yeah, huge game by the rookies in
and then we got rookies on the other side where Carl Brooks' name is called probably 4 times at least in that game. Johnson takes the interception, and then Valentin had a pass breakup, at least one, if not 2. And so the rookies are standing up and they're doing what they need to do. Now, I wonder if, like, to some extent, that Douglas trade, who I would imagine all the guys on the team can see he's playing out of his mind and like is a leader of the team, and he gets traded. And maybe that's like just like a holy shit, like nobody's safe. Yeah, I'm not safe. Like, they just drafted me, but I'm not safe. Being like, you never know like the mindset that comes out of that trade. I think it can wreck a team. I think we watched it wreck a team in the Brewers in the past. Like, you trade a guy that has been producing and is a clubhouse favorite and a fan favorite with now I'm gonna get the name will escape me, right? The closer.
Williams, Devin Williams?
No.
Josh Hader?
Yeah, Hader. When they traded Hader, I think that wrecked the clubhouse.
Oh yeah, the
for the Brewers after that, right? And so like, I think it can go either way, and I don't think like this is guaranteed what's going to be long term what it is. But it could be a thing that it's like, now I got an opportunity now, and like nothing is safe. I have to play at a higher level than I have been.
All right, I just got some fact checking that I just did, so I was right. Johnson is the one from Iowa State, and Valentin's from Kentucky. Anyways, but what I was thinking with this one,
okay,
is
man,
there
I've been thinking that. Yeah.
There's especially with the Douglas trade, is maybe like, we're not going to want to pay him down the road. Valentine looks like he's going to be able to fill in, especially in a season where we're, fringe playoff team would be pushing it.
Best case scenario.
Yeah, right. Like pushing it. So maybe it's like, hey, we're not going to pay him. It looks like Valentine's going to be our guy next year, so we're just going to get him reps this year. Something like that. Like, a lot of things going into it is, and I kind of think that's what happened with the Hader thing is. It's like, hey, we're not going to want to pay him anymore down the road, but whatever. We don't need to go down the trade road so much.
I appreciate you checking me on that Johnson thing, because I was certain it was Valentine. Certain.
See, and I was pretty certain it wasn't. Yeah. And I haven't even looked if Anthony Johnson Jr. was the one from Iowa State. But now that I did,
yeah, sure,
I was right. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, and then another strength is, we kind of hit it before, but Jonathan Owens had a pretty damn good game. He ended up having 8 tackles and a sack, forcing a fumble. So good game from him, with Savage being down. So
McDuffie's pretty young too, right? Linebacker.
Isaiah McDuffie.
He's forced a fumble, I think, at one point. Had like a borderline sack as well.
Yeah, so he was drafted in 2021. So
a couple years in. Okay.
Yeah, so a little bit of experience there, and a little bit of experience goes a long ways on this team. So he's one of the wily vets on this team with 3 years of experience. But let's get into the weaknesses. Weakness that we still haven't overcome is just stupid fucking penalties. And honestly, like, they didn't even feel like they were real penalties. Like, I've never seen that so many times. The guys just lining up offsides, and I think it's because the announcer alluded to it, that they didn't really call these ones in the past. But yeah, we just were lining up over the neutral zone pretty consistently in this game. Like, anytime we had like a 4th and 1, it felt like someone was lined up offsides.
See, and I don't think I've ever like heard of that being the case, except for wide receivers in the NFL. As long as you're not in front of the ball, I don't even know if I've heard of it in like high school, where they emphasize way different things, right? Like getting the game right. Where like, as long as you're behind the ball, to me, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, all you have to do is be behind the nose of the ball.
Yeah, and maybe it's just like a learning curve thing for us as fans, as the guys as players. Like, and then once they're like, oh shit, they're really calling us for this bullshit, we'll just clean it up. Because I don't think the way the Packers were lining up on those was necessarily giving them an advantage in the situation to get the plays. But I really don't remember too many plays called dead that weren't false starts. Like, false starts, obviously you see that a lot, but just like the flag thrown, offside on the offense, it just isn't a penalty that's like in my lexicon. Because
I might have been like doing something. So we were in the kitchen for the first half, and my wife said like, "Oh, it's offsides on the offense," and I said, or she said it was offsides. I said, "Oh, that's on the defense," or like lined up in the neutral zone is what they called, and I was like, "Oh, it's on the defense." Like, that's the call for the defense, right? And then she's like, "Nope, they called it against us." I was like, "I don't know what the fuck that means," like. But then once I saw it, like, I get what they're saying, I understand it, but I'm not sure the purpose of that call. right?
Yeah,
Like
I think
I
it's
don't get it. So
I,
the Gary one where he was lined up, he was in front of the ball, right? So Rashawn Gary
yeah, yeah,
was in front of the ball. You could see that. The ones that they called on the offense, I don't get. That being said, it drives me crazy that the Packers, who have probably run, I don't know, like 6 quarterback sneaks in the last, I don't know, 20 years, right? So Favre might have done them late in his career. Aaron Rodgers never fucking did those things. And so like they've run 2 ever, right? So with Jordan Love in the last, just today. And that's the team that's getting called, and not teams like the fucking Eagles and who run it every fucking other down.
yeah. And that's what I was gonna say. It definitely feels like it's the attack on the tush push play that it does seem like it's going to be trending, like that they're going to try to get that out of the game. So I think they're trying to fix it as good as they can right now
Yeah.
because they just don't want those like fourth and shorts to just always be first downs. But
But they're not. So like when other teams run it, it doesn't work. The Eagles have it like really, really good, really well done, right? And for other teams, it doesn't work. It's just so it would probably be the same if like Mike Vick was running a QB sneak, right?
yeah,
If the Atlanta had chose to do it in the early 2000s, like they would have just ripped them apart,
yeah.
dominated that play.
Another like Dante Culpepper, Cam Newton. I feel like they
Yeah,
did
some
with
of
Cam
the
Newton quite a bit.
they probably did. Some of these guys that are just like superb athletes, right?
That would have been like Tim Tebow's like main
Bread
calling
and butter.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if he was a backup quarterback right now, you would just put him in to do that. I'm surprised the Saints with Taysom Hill don't do that more often, or maybe they do, and I'm just not paying attention to the Saints as much.
yeah. And so like maybe there's like an opportunity for like Dylan to take snaps.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe Dylan's not a good example because he's like not always the guy that like pushes the pile. But I mean, or like a Rashawn Gary, like, all right, you're taking the snap, get us first down. Like super athlete, Lucas Van Ness, like just
just big ass dudes. Yeah, I get what
a
you're
big
saying,
dude
but
that's super athletic, right? So like your tight ends, so Musgrave or Kraft can probably both run like ridiculously fast and get that. Defensive ends are in the same boat. And then they're like D ends are probably even more like physically gifted than like a tight end is, would be my assumption. So just get that guy to take snaps and then
I don't know. I think you've said it before, but Love's a big ass dude. Like
oh
we
yeah,
don't really
yeah,
need to
right,
change
yeah.
that one. But anyways, so we did strengths, weaknesses. What are we missing? Opportunities,
Opportunities
threats.
and threats, yeah. So so that like opportunities, I guess. I mean, we can clean up all those things, and then our opportunity is still to just like kind of do wacky shit, right? So that double fake over the middle to Musgrave, like we could run 15 plays like that every game. And it would be,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't care at all. Even if they like ended up being crappy, at least I know you're like trying to be innovative.
yeah, and it's just can be a fun season for the rest of the season. I mean, we got the Steelers up next, so that's a fun team that's not like super dominant. That you can test some fun things out on, see where you're at,
And their
and
defense is good enough that like it's different than what the Rams showed us today.
yeah, and then at the end of the day, it is what it is. We're kind of in that sweet pocket, like where if we lose, I mean, I think Mike and I are probably the Packer fans that are like, no, you just try to win every game, like more so
100%.
than any other. But if you lose, maybe you can say, okay, we get a better pick out of this, which I don't love that,
I hate it.
especially like where we're going to be picking. But if you win, you got a young team that's learning how to win, and I think that's like way more valuable than a draft pick. Is these guys to start being confident and being like,
Yeah.
hey, we can do what these other guys can do. Because sure, I'm even sounding even more optimistic after this week because we went
Yeah.
out and handled the team like how we should handle a team
Yeah.
in shitty weather. We ran the ball better than them, and then we knew they were going to have to run the ball, and we fucking didn't let them do it. So it was just very promising to see our talent was leaps and bounds better than another team's talent. And if you can get those guys confident, winning some games down this stretch, they're going to be good. And I already think they're going to be good. I haven't really lost anything from after watching Love play that game against the Bears because even some of the throws he's making today to the outside, he's starting quarterback caliber. Like he's not afraid to rip it at the sidelines, and he's got a fucking gun too when he does it. Like he's got all the tools there, and then he's got to sit behind quite possibly the smartest quarterback of all time to learn
He's
from
right
him.
there.
So
Right? Yeah.
so I'm very high on this Packers team. Yeah, shit, this might not be our year, but I think the talent's loud. Joe Barry cleaned some stuff up. We stopped making penalties. Our young guys stopped dropping the ball. This team could be what we're 3-5 right now. Like we probably should be 500, and we could be 5-3. I would say.
So let's go back there quick because my personal belief on the like confidence issue is that plays a huge role in what you do throughout the entire season, even in the NFL. And people think like, oh, that's bullshit. Like players are players, but like I think when you talk about great players, what do they always talk about? Is like their level of confidence never changes, right? Like, oh yeah, fuck that one up. I'll be back. That ain't no big deal, right? Like
Short memory thing.
You just fucking like great kickers. You just kick it, right? Like, oh, I missed that one. Okay, I'm gonna go out and kick it again. But so like if we go back and look at it, we beat the Bears. We get up on Atlanta.
Yeah,
right?
piss
And
that
then
one away.
piss that game away. Like, I don't know like who you blame it on, but you piss that one away, right? You win that game, and then like your mindset starts going like, oh man, we're fucking really good. And then you go into the Saints, you get down early against the Saints, and you come back and you fucking beat them, right? And then you're 3-0. And like your confidence because you were down and you come back, like that changes things. And I think that Atlanta game, like in the one score games, like maybe you don't come out and beat Detroit just because your confidence is higher. You're still very young. Detroit's a pretty good team. You might not beat Detroit, but I think these one-score games you probably are coming away with if you have just a slightly higher level of confidence.
Yeah, you definitely could flip the script on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the opportunity is vast in this team. So
yeah, and I'd like to just say that in reality, like we are 5-2 instead of, or what do we have? 8 games in? We're 8 games in.
yeah, we're 3 and
Yeah,
5.
we're probably 6-2, really. I mean, so like that's what my record really is. It's like the LeBron James doesn't have any championships, right?
Yeah.
Have
Yeah,
you ever
just
seen those?
spin it. Yeah, like, oh, if this guy hit this shot, or if Ray Allen didn't hit a 3 in the corner or some shit like that.
Then
Yeah.
he doesn't win the championship, so that one doesn't count. So none of the Packers' losses count, except
like
for
the Detroit one. So yeah, we've only lost one game.
7-1. We're 7-1.
Yeah, we probably should have beat the Vikings too. But all right, so last thing, we'll just go with threats. Not being able to clean up these penalties would be a big threat. And then my big thing is the receivers being made of glass. Like, I hate to say it, and I feel
We
bad
said it
for him,
early
but
last year, and then it didn't pan out that way either. Though, so.
yeah, but Christian Watson, I mean, he came back. He only had one catch. It was a big catch where he had to come back for the ball and stuff. But he catches the ball and he goes down. And it seems like, dude, every time Christian Watson gets hit, there's something. Like, I think Riley, or our dog, our old correspondent, sent us the text that he was in like the concussion protocol. I wasn't really online too much on my phone today to see all that.
It was like a back, neck, and concussion protocol. Like that's what Rappaport or whoever it was tweeted out. So
yeah, craziness. But all in all, great game. Pittsburgh noon next week should be another good one, fun one. See where the Packers are. We are going to be in Pittsburgh, so that'll be a little bit different. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think the Packers have a good shot at this. Mike, if you had to guess the line, what do you think the line's going to come out to be? I'll see if it's even out yet.
I assume the Packers have to be dogs in this, and I assume it's probably by 4, maybe 5. It's in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to go with 5.
I'm going to go with 3.5 and see if it's out yet, because I think Packers tend to get like lines a little more favorable. It's 3, but minus 3.
Wait, the Packers okay. Pittsburgh is -3. All right, so I have a theory on gambling stuff, and I looked at it a little bit today, but I think the 3.5 game, they're begging you to take the dog in that game.
Yeah, there is something that I would have to.
If a game is at like 7.5 or 8, they're begging you to take the dog in that game.
Yeah, definitely. They're trying to get the
right instead of it being at 7, which it could easily end up being a push, right?
So, yeah, I came up with a dumb theory. I think Packer fans are too loyal. So this is the only reason why I didn't make the Packers my pound it game this week. So Mike went out and made it his pound it game, and I think we both looked at that line and we're like kind of out of the loop a little bit that the Rams were as nicked up as they were. I don't know. I was a little bit until I started looking at the game this week.
I knew about Stafford. That was the only one I knew about.
Okay. But I was like, that line does not look like one that the Packers are going to cover. So everyone's going to be betting on the Rams. But I just think Packers betting fans are very loyal. Like there's guys like us that just put their money on the Packers, like no matter what.
Doesn't matter.
So like the Packers lines never tend to get too out of hand because they just know people are going to put the money on them regardless. So
right.
That is my theory behind it. But you ready to move on to the piss poor game of the week? Piss poor game of the decade, maybe.
So 2 decades. We have not lost to Indiana in 2 fucking decades.
That can't be true, right?
I think that's what they said it right at the end of the highlights I was watching.
I think that's in Bloomington, but COVID year. I can't remember if we didn't play Indiana, but Indiana was like ranked like 8 in the country that year, and I think they might have got Wisconsin in Madison that year. I didn't fact check that one, but I think it's in Bloomington. We haven't lost to them. But anyways, we'll did we bury the lead? Is that what that's called? But anyways, Badgers lose 20-14 in Bloomington. Wow, I'm fumbling through my words now. And I would say the story of this game is Indiana came out hot early. They scored on their first drive. Go into halftime, I want to say up 17-7. And the Badgers end up winning the second half 7-3. If that makes any sense, I'm probably confusing people now. But long story short, the Badgers started slow. Indiana started fast. Badgers completely dominated the second half, but just could not finish the drives. And that's where it stood. But if you've been paying attention to the Badgers this year, Malusi's out. Braylon Allen was out. We're pretty nicked up going into this game. Still not a game that we should lose. I want to say the Badgers were 14-point favorites still in this game. And yeah, we lose just a piss poor game where if you're not a brand new coach putting in a brand new scheme, you're going to get some hot water starting to boil under your ass if you lose this game and you're any other coach. But I don't think that should be the case. I mean, maybe I made it sound like that, but I am. Patience is a virtue. We're going to see how this plays out. We did have some really sweet plays in the game. One to Pauling. I can't remember the big touch. It wasn't to Pauling. It was to Bryson Green. Had a 54-yard touchdown catch in that one. And I mean, we were hitting shit out of the quarterback in the second half. I thought we were going to have more than 2 sacks, but we only end up with 2 sacks. Yeah, I don't know. I was passively watching this one for the first quarter because I was out, just had it up on my phone.
Right.
But from what I seen when I sat down on my couch and watched basically the whole second quarter through the end of the game, is like it looked like the Badgers should have won this game. We just can't finish drives right now. And I think Braylon Allen being out, I mean, no shit, was a big issue in finishing drives.
Right. So like you got to have a top caliber running back, one of the two.
Yeah.
And so I went back and looked. You were right about the COVID year. They lose to Indiana. They lose this year to Indiana. So Indiana's got 2 in a row. Previous to that, they hadn't beat us since 2002.
Okay. Yeah. So
I mean, those we don't play them every year, but like 2002 was the last time they beat us.
Yeah, pretty rough loss in that one. I'm gonna look into the team stats a little bit, but like we were getting Jackson Aker and then Cade Yakameli going a little bit, where we were giving them some space, where they were runs that like Braylon Allen tends to turn, a 6-yard run into like a 30-yard run. So it definitely did look like the offensive line was doing all right in giving the running backs a little bit of space, but our running backs are pretty raw. And I mean, going from a top 5 running back in the country to a guy that's new. I don't know how young Aker and things are. So he's a sophomore. And I don't know Yakameli if he's a freshman or he's a freshman. So
and Yakameli, like I saw a couple runs from him where he like it's almost like he ran into the back of his offensive lineman a little bit, right? Instead of finding that hole, he just ran hard, straightforward, and like that's okay. Like he's gonna have to adjust out of that in order to like go to the next level, even on this team. But I'd rather have a guy that just kind of runs hard, right?
Yeah. And Wisconsin, so like just looking at the team stats, we outgained Indiana 344 to 261. But the big one that tends to turn most games is Wisconsin turned the ball over twice, 2 fumbles, and Indiana took care of the ball. And that's kind of the story of the game. And then Wisconsin just not being able to finish drives. Because other than that, it's Big Ten West of a game as you can get. I'm trying to look at who our fumblers were, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. So whatever. Yeah, we lost 2 fumbles, didn't get any turnovers. Also, Pauling fumbled and Yakameli fumbled, and we lost that game. I don't know.
One of those was like to lose the game, I believe, too, right? So we were driving. I shouldn't say we were driving, but we had the ball with 1:20 left, down 6, and I don't remember which guy fumbled, but one of them did.
Yeah, so that would probably be Yakameli fumbling when we were down 14-17. But yeah, no, you're right. It was Pauling on the last drive of the game. Look at you, Mike.
So I did hear that at the very least. So
yeah, and I mean, you went back and watched the clips there, but yeah, just a disappointing game. I don't have like too much to take away from it. I think Braden Locke still looks serviceable as a quarterback. Him being as young as he is, I'm still very excited for him. He was 21 of 41, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. The offense busted out some big passes, which we're not very used to, but it does look like something that's coming in the near future. And then I don't know how long Braylon Allen's out for, but I don't know if he's doing I'm going to hang it up. Like this season's kind of a lost cause type deal. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Like I'm assuming he'll probably come up, but I think I would be even crazier than I already am if I thought we still had a chance at winning the Big Ten West after losing this one.
Man, it'd be wild if they did. It'd be very wild if they did.
Yeah, but I mean, it is definitely a crapshoot there. I think it is tied up, but Wisconsin's just lost too many to like the people that are important, such as Iowa. And yeah, because I want to say Iowa went out and beat Minnesota like 3-0 or something like that this week. And yeah, it's just that season for the Badgers. I think I've been enjoying watching them still. So I think if you just go in there like no expectations, kind of get ready to take a nap, like just at the end of the first quarter and wake
up at the beginning or the middle of the third quarter, and then you're like, man, this team looks good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for Wisconsin football in general, like just snooze the fucking first half, let it go, and like come into the second half, you're gonna be like, man, these teams aren't bad. I don't know what everybody's talking about.
Yeah. But
if you can like avoid looking at the score, I guess.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. We are gonna bring a Bucks guy on. I keep telling him every week, so he gets prepared every week, but I don't follow up with him to go over the Bucks stuff. But we'll do I was doing a quick recap. Yeah. I've got to see 2 games front to back. Last game that I got to see front to back was versus the Knicks in the first game of the in-season tournament. I can't remember if that's what they call it. I
think it's the NBA Cup.
Yeah, but they kept referring to like the in-season tournament, and I always wanted to call it the mid-season tournament, but I think it's the in-season tournament. Yeah. So anyways, if you haven't heard about this, so it's a pool. I can't remember exactly who's in the Bucks pool, but I'll make our guess.
So the Bucks pool consists of the Bucks, the Knicks, the Heat, I want to say Bullets, and it's not the Bullets. Wizards, and the Hornets. But I'm confused now because so they played the Knicks, makes perfect sense. You should be just playing all the guys in your pool, right? But now they got the Nets. So the Nets, who are not in their pool, are their next game.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense to me.
So I think that's how it goes with soccer. So our dog would have been a good one to have on for this because it's like FA Cup games. Like they're in the middle of your season, but they're not necessarily all in a row. So it'll be like this is just me knowing a little bit about soccer and how their in-season tournaments work, which is a very little amount that I know about that. So I don't think it's going to be like back to back to back. There's going to be 4 in-season tournament games. What your records are in those games is gonna bump you into the knockout round. So I think it's the winner of each pool and then plus one wild card team, and then they're gonna be playing in Vegas. And I want to say the in season, mid season tournament is like the championship's December 9th. So early December, that I think there'll be a break from the season except for the teams in that, and then they'll play them back to back or whatever it is.
Okay, I'm not sure that I enjoy this, right? I think I'd rather have like a real tournament style where I shouldn't say that, not like a real tournament, because this is a real tournament. I understand that. Like I like the pool play, right? But I think every team should go into like some sort of knockout rounds, right? Where like these teams just go in and they play shittier teams.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. So like the knockout rounds should all come. And so like basically like you should have a championship and then a shit sandwich.
Toilet bowl. A shit bowl. I do kind of like the idea of shit bowls. I think
right. And so like that shit bowl, like if you lose the shit bowl, you can't have the first overall pick.
I love that. Like I love the idea of making a tournament for the first overall pick, but I think that should be more of an end of season.
But like it's so hard because like, oh, so you're saying just take like the top lottery teams?
Yeah, all the people who have a chance to win the lottery.
Put it on like a betting thing that you have to cover your games too, or something like that.
I don't know exactly.
Like that's how you advance, as you cover, because there's going to be a team like the worst team in the league versus like the 14th team in the league. It's a different thing, right? So like 15 wins to 40 wins, somewhere in there. And so like you just got to cover. So if you get like, I don't know, the Spurs who are like 40 wins, and then you get the Pistons who have 15 wins, the Spurs have to cut like cover a certain number.
So I think if you do it that way, like your mid teams are going to get better faster, so then they're not going to be in the tournament to do that. So I think the problems of it would fix itself. So sure, if you have a good team that just missed the playoffs and they go and dominate everybody, they get the first round pick. Then next year they're going to be in the postseason, and then next team up. And I think it'll more filter than when you get a Zion Williamson going to New Orleans, who doesn't have a shot in hell to make a playoff. Well, I mean, they kind of did, but
well, if he would play, they probably have a much better shot at the playoffs.
That was a bad example, but you just one of those players that is super good and it just goes to like a super shitty team, and then nothing ever falls in line. But anyways, let's get the Bucks here. So they're 3-2 on the season. I'm trying to think of the games that I've seen. So it was the Sixers game and then the Knicks game, where Dame came up big in both of those games already. At the end of this Knicks game, the Bucks were kind of pissing it away. It looked like it was going to get out of hand, or not out of hand, but like it looked like we were going to run into the issues that we've ran into in the recent past, where we just don't have a guy that can score at the end. And Dame scores 6-7 points in a row in 5 seconds, like to put us through. So it definitely the trade has worked how we wanted it to so far. But I will say we did really go out and get rocked against the Hawks. We lost 127-110, which I don't have too much input in that, but I'm curious to see how it was going to go, because I was doing this one day and then I got distracted and didn't get to go back and watch all of them. And then we got our shit pumped by the Raptors as well, 130-111. But like I said, we'll get Kanan Kyle on next week, because he went to the opening game, and he's one of those weirdos that the NBA is his number one thing. So he definitely likes to. He doesn't sleep on the Bucks until the Packers season's over, right, like we kind of do. But
yeah, for sure.
But that's all I got for the episode, Mike. I don't know if you got anything more you want to touch on.
Nope, just that we appreciate you and we enjoy that you listen. So keep it up, subscribe, go on YouTube. I feel like I look at YouTube numbers way more than I look at the actual podcast numbers. So
that's because we get better numbers on the YouTube thing. I think it's just more people like get tricked into clicking on them.
Yes, keep getting tricked. Oh, we love it.
So no, we love you guys. We appreciate the support. Like, share our stuff. We're gonna keep getting better. And you want to say it, or you might say it?
It's been a long time since you said it. I'll do it. Whatever. All right, if you're doubting the Badgers, the Bucks, the Brewers, you can.
Eat my shows. Beat them. All them suckers that doubted the Packers can't. Eat my shows. Eat my shows.